Waiting for David and John. We'll get started. Hey Craig, how you doing?
Okay, it's recording it on YouTube now, live, and it's live.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, hi.
Hello, good evening.
How you doing, David?
Good.
Good. Hey John, how you doing? Can you hear us? I think you might be on mute. Can't hear you now. Still nothing. Nope. Sorry. See if I can mute and unmute you. Let me try that.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. We have a quorum.
We do.
Yes.
I see Lisa, Kelly, and David. Looks like I'm looking in a mirror. Good evening. Everyone's here. Do you want to call the meeting to order?
Yeah, just one real quick. Do we have someone here for the minutes, Katie? You're on mute if I can't hear you.
Can RB identify themselves? I'm thinking that might be who that is.
There's someone from Telesco here.
It's RB is muted, I think.
Yeah, they are muted. That's who I thought it was. Ask unmute.
Yes, I'm here to do your minutes for you tonight.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
All right, we're all set then, John.
Okay. Well, I'll call the meeting to order. I've done the roll call just a second ago. Lisa, Kelly, David, and I are here. That's a quorum. Is there anyone out there to do who wants to make a few comments? Public participation. Not seeing anyone? Not seeing any hands raised. So I'll assume there's no one there to make a comment. Before going to administration and the rest of the agenda, I'd like to I'm making a motion to suspend the rules to move the design review 77 North Water Street to the top of the agenda. So I make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's carried. So we're now moving to section 2, business item 4, design review 77 North Water Street. I turn that over to you.
All right, I'll just give a quick introduction, and then Craig Flaherty with Readiness and Mean will kind of provide an overview. There is a staff report included in your packet just to catch you all up. This was actually considered on multiple occasions by our board, the overall development project initially, but then the modification to the ground floor at 77 North Water Street. This was done about a year ago when I first came on board, whereby the applicant was requesting, given the vacancy rates and the commercial space size of 77 North Water, that be converted into residential units rather than commercial space. A discussion occurred at this board to allow for a 75% conversion to retain the 25% commercial space along the frontage of Water Street to be compliant with the Reed Putnam Urban Development Plan, and also some of the walkability goals for the area. Working on improving pedestrian connections between the mall and then the businesses on Washington Street and the aquarium. The applicant has now come back, given some changes that Craig will review, requesting a modification of how that commercial space is oriented. So I will kick it over to you, Craig, if you'd like to give a brief presentation in regards to your proposal.
I'll unmute myself first. How about that? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the accommodation of allowing me to go earlier this evening. I'm hoping to get over to another hearing in this virtual world from my office. I'm here representing the new owners of the building to talk about 77 North Water Street. Just going to share my screen, give you guys an orientation. I know you're probably very familiar with it, but we're talking about the northerly-most building of this 3-building set. 77 is, are you seeing my shared screen now? Yeah, okay. 77 is the northerly-most building. It's closest to Oyster Shell Park, closest to the train tracks on North Water Street. I'll just drop down for a quick street built view to get you oriented. This is the south half of the building. It's the half that we're going to be talking about tonight. And just as a reminder, I will also show you the north half of the building. That's going to stay residential, no matter the decision tonight. So the summary in the staff report is a good one. Initially, all of this space was approved as office. And through our conversations in 2019 with the redevelopment agency, you agreed that we could convert about 75% of that floor space to 12 residential apartments, 8 in the north wing and 4 in the south wing. What we found is 2 things. There's probably 3 areas of improvement we think this new configuration offers. First is that not only did we create a very long, narrow commercial space, which isn't particularly leasable to a lot of varied users, we created kind of orphaned residential units as well, especially that one on the top left of the screen. The top 2 really, C1A and C1C, are right on the parking lot. C1A doesn't really even have hallway access down to the amenity space, so it's a floor entry unit. It's right on the driveway, which is just on the left side of this screen. So we felt by reorienting the first floor to match the configuration you see now, it's kind of a benefit to both sides of the equation. It's a benefit to the residential because now they're more traditionally off what will be a shared lobby for the residential use. Gets those two apartments away from the parking lot in a more conventional, efficient arrangement. And similarly, the commercial space ends up being this nice square space that we feel will be more leasable to varied users. and creates presence for the commercial space, both on the site driveway and on the parking. So if you're going to the commercial space, it's just easier to orient. Going back to that street view again, the commercial space would now be this entire south side of the building. It's already got a lot of glazing, and it kind of makes sense. It would also be the first quarter of the space along the street. And again, reminder, the street has this kind of natural break in the elevation of the sidewalk up against the building versus the elevation of the city sidewalk along the road. But of course, we all hope the desired walking location for most folks in this area is going to be along the water on the nice Valley Trail. So that's that's a good summary of the presentation. If you have any questions, hopefully I can field them. Also on the call tonight is Jonathan Schrift, representing the owner.
So it's still a breakdown of 75 residential and 25% commercial, correct?
Exactly.
So you just reoriented.
Exactly.
Is there going to be some sort of break on the walk between the residential and the commercial? So they have privacy?
Yeah. What we anticipated for the apartments that are facing the road, using that elevated walkway, as those would kind of become private terraces. So that in and of itself adds a little bit of life to the street, with the residents of the apartments kind of out on those private terraces. And a similar thing would happen here, where those two apartments facing the street would have those kind of exterior private terraces. And then the hope would be similarly that this commercial space, whether it ends up being office or retail or residential, or office, retail, or restaurant or something in between, that they could also use that exterior space without obstructing the city walk.
And you're looking to lease that commercial space as one piece, or are you going to break it into smaller?
The market will tell us. Obviously, it's easier to have one tenant versus multiple, but the market will bear.
Okay. I'm fine with the design. Anyone else have any questions?
Is there a tenant imminent for the space?
There is not a singular tenant that we can identify at this point. So it's just about options, and it just makes sense. If they're planning to move forward with the residential, they want to know how to move forward with the residential first.
How is the rest of the building residential in terms of available space, or how much of it is rented?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, Jonathan. I don't know if you know. Last time I checked, it was well into the 90% for occupancy rate. Jonathan, do you have any stats on that?
That's correct. So we're in the mid to high 90%, and it looks like we're trending, slightly even higher than that. So one of the reasons why we're so interested in getting this approval is to offer more residential units to the market, because it seems like we've got the demand for it here.
You still feel there's a demand for the commercial?
Yes, we do. One of the things that another big reason for this kind of request for a slight reconfiguration is that we just feel that this configuration is going to draw a lot more prospective tenants for this commercial space. It's a square. They've got access to the parking lot. They can do more numerous kind of options with what they want to do and who we can attract, versus that previous configuration that was just kind of the linear bar. We just feel this will give us a lot more options to fill this space.
Any more questions, observations, comments?
No, it makes sense to me. It
Yeah.
gives it a much more, having it all, the commercial all along the entry drive and where the parking lot is open. I think it makes sense.
Okay. This is not an action item on the way it's set up. Brian, do you want me to make a motion to approve?
Yes, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
I don't have the exact language. I'll just say, I make a motion to approve the revisions between commercial and residential at 77 North Water Street. I think that should be adequate. Do I
Second.
see a second? I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Well,
Thank you
hope
very
you don't
much.
hit traffic on the
Thank
way to
you.
the next. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, going back to the agenda, we'll go to item 1, administration. The first item in there is the approval of the minutes of the March 9th, 2021 regular meeting. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Anybody want to make any revisions, correct mistakes, or whatever? None? All in favor? Aye.
I abstain because I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Okay, so we have 3 yes and 1 abstention. Passes. Moving to item number 2 in administration financials. First item is to approve Norwalk Redevelopment Agency Statement of Revenues and Expenditures for Operating Fund 100 for year-to-date February 28th, 2021.
Okay.
Eugenia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the period year-to-date February 28th, 2021, the operating fund 100 had actual revenues of $1,052,000 versus budgeted revenues of $1,058,000, which resulted in an unfavorable variance of $6,000. The total actual expenditures of $980,000 versus a budget of $1,064,000 resulted in a favorable variance of $84,000. This is primarily due to an unfavorable variance in legal expenses of $61,000 for Wall Street litigation, which was offset by a favorable variance of $117,000 in personnel costs and $28,000 in other administrative costs. The actual operating surplus of $72,000 versus a budgeted deficit of $5,000 resulted in a favorable variance of $77,000. Does anyone have any questions?
I have none. Seeing none, hearing none. I'll ask for a vote on that motion to approve the statement of revenues and expenditures for the operating fund 100.
So move.
Second, Lisa second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Going on to next item 2, business. First item is the Norwalk Redevelopment Agency strategic plan. There's a motion to approve the final draft agency strategic plan 2020 to 2025. And I think we've all seen that draft and we've had a public hearing. So I'll open it to any comments, observations anyone would like to make? Seeing none, hearing none, Lisa. All in favor of passing the final draft?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Moving along nicely. Item 2, business agency legal services update. Ryan?
All right, great. So yeah, I just wanted to provide a brief update. I know I've had conversations with some of you regarding our overall legal services and just for general counsel and agency legal needs throughout the year. We issued an RFQ for legal services, the intent being to establish a bench of qualified vendors to provide various services depending on agency need. As you'll note, there is no action item in front of you tonight. This is more of just an update given the sort of structure that we're moving towards. Effectively, what we're trying to do is establish a bench similar to what we have for on-call design services for transportation and public-private partnership assessment, where we have a little bit more flexibility in terms of, who we can assign certain tasks to, and the work spread out, strategically rather than consolidate.
You're frozen. Brian. Hello.
Oh,
Where'd he go? Uh-oh. We lost him. Let me send him a text message so that he doesn't realize.
Brian,
Can you even see? I can't even see him anymore.
I see him,
No.
but I can't.
Oh, I don't even see him anymore.
Looks like a screen he put up there, so we all think he's involved. Are you even texting him?
I did just,
Okay.
maybe I'll give him a call too. Hey. Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, okay. Perfect. That was so odd. Okay, thanks. Bye. Yeah, he said it just stopped. It's like he got kicked out. So he's rejoining.
Well, it turned into a pretty day today.
Gorgeous. Now, where is he? I wonder if it had something to do with if it had anything to do with like the connection. I think he was at the office.
huh.
I assume he'll call.
Well, it wasn't an action item, so.
True. Yes, you're right, John. It did turn out to be a pretty day.
Do you still have him on the phone, or?
No, we did hang up, but I'm assuming he will call if he doesn't have a connection. Oh, can you? Let's see. He is having some difficulty. If you don't mind holding 1 minute, let's see.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if this will work. Let's see. Oh, he's in the waiting room.
He's
Oh.
There's
Can
Brian.
you hear me now?
Could see you now, too.
Sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of a Y2K moment here at the office. I don't know what's going on. All right, sorry. I'm not sure where I dropped out, but I was kind of talking about the legal update and the interviews that we conducted. Did everyone catch that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Cut
great.
out in the middle of it. You cut out in probably the beginning portion of that.
Okay, so, we went through the process of putting out an RFQ to establish a bench of qualified vendors. The intent, obviously, to find specialties and use them as needed, and then have our sort of general counsel role filled for the day-to-day things, the review of minutes. We don't typically have too much volume. I know we're all coming, in the middle of a litigation, so it seems that may not be the case, but our sort of day-to-day work is relatively minimal. So wanted to identify the best firm to provide those general counsel services. Obviously, with real estate experience, working with federal grants and state grants is a key priority. So as I said, we conducted interviews with Katie O'Leary from our office and also Darren Callahan from Corporation Counsel. And what I'm recommending tonight is sort of advancing for 4 of the 6 firms that we interviewed, given their unique specialties, with Bruce Jackson Law Group, serving in the general counsel role. Bruce Jackson is the town attorney, and he worked for the town of Stratford for a while, handling a lot of the municipal work and real estate transactions, and dealing with some of the basic needs that we would share from a legal perspective. But then retaining also other firms that are more experienced from land development and land disposition agreements and more complex real estate transactions, including Adam Blank at Wolsey Rosen, I believe it's Queskin and Karansky, and then also Shipman Goodwin for the more technical assignments as needed, not really for litigation, but given their experience in public sector rates for more complex development and land disposition agreements, I think that they would, serve the agency well when those opportunities or needs arise. And as I said, it's not really an action tonight. What I envision doing is actually just having an hourly rate agreement with these firms, and then should various assignments come up, that will come to the board for larger scale assignments that will come for a contract approval at that time. So it's really just a way of updating you all in terms of what's going on the legal side. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are you the only one screening the RFQs?
No, so we went through with Corporation Counsel. So Darren Callahan sat in on the interviews as well, and then Katie O'Leary, and we've been discussing with the city as well.
Okay. And everyone was unanimous in your selections?
Given the fact,
yeah,
in terms of the search, in our committee that did the interviews, we all felt that it was we wanted to make sure we had the right tool for the right assignment, and creating this bench creates, a lot of flexibility. So I think everyone's pretty open to that.
And I've asked you this before, but and the person from Stratford is familiar enough with Norwalk.
Yeah, he gets involved in some real estate transaction work. One of the key things that we were talking about is the presence of conflicts, and I think that is one advantage actually of using someone that's based out of Stratford, is because there's less opportunity for conflict. But he has worked in the real estate environment here in Norwalk, and he has also agreed to match our current hourly rate that we're getting over at the pamphlets. And then the pamphlets, as we discussed too, will still be available for historical work and making sure that we have that sort of resource available as well.
David?
Is he currently the Corporation Counsel for Stratford?
No, it was the past Corporation Counsel for Town of Stratford.
And so he's just in private practice now?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan.
Right.
Good.
I know he still does some various tax appeals here and there, but he's not like the Corporation Counsel.
Okay. Kelly, any questions? No? Lisa?
Nope, sounds good.
I thank you for the update.
Great.
And keep forging ahead. I'll move to item 3, South Norwalk Train Station Area Study. I make a motion to approve the VHB contract amendment 1 at a cost of $25,000. Brian, you would like to give us a little more detail on that?
Yeah, no problem. So, we're in the middle of doing our South Norwalk train station study. As a result of that, we've identified interest and need to expand the existing conditions analysis that we're doing, really in response to some of the market impacts that COVID has had from a number of perspectives, and also feedback we received from the various groups from our public outreach, and also some of the community engagement that we've done peripheral to the main study, and just feedback that we're getting in terms of questions people would like to have answered as part of this work that were not originally scoped. They fall specifically within 3 categories. The first category is in terms of taking a look at the retail landscape. One of the comments that we received is, concern with what, given the vacancy rates that are, present in South Norwalk in general, along Washington Street, what would, the introduction of new retail around the train station do to that? So what we want to assess is the interaction between the 2 areas a little bit deeper, so we can understand that before and inform our study recommendations. The second one is taking a look a little bit north of the actual study area that we have around the South Norwalk train station, specifically taking a look at Webster Street lot. There's obviously plans, or there's been talk to take a look at that. What we want to do is really conduct a feasibility analysis to see, how the market impacts of development around South Norwalk train station may impact future development of Webster Street lot. And as a result, we will have a more detailed financial model of development on that site to help advance that concurrent to what we're doing around the train station. And then the final one is really trying to address one of the biggest concerns that we've heard from the community in terms of equity, and taking a look at what economic impacts development around the South Norwalk train station can have in the southern neighborhoods, but also what benefits it can bring from an economic perspective to the community. So we're going to be looking at new instruments for sort of redistribution of the benefits that could occur from South Norwalk. And I think there's also some interesting historic preservation connections in regards to this. If this works out to be some sort of transfer development right initiative, or some tools we want to look at to sort of address all the the complex and shared goals in the area with the development, and this will help expand our scope in that regard and the data that we have to sort of make some of these decisions and see if these tools could be potential solutions.
Okay. Just a question. With the lack of Metro North usage, there must be a lot of open parking spaces. And I would think Webster lot is not as full as it used to be. Are we looking at the long-term impact of COVID-19 on the parking generally, or making better use of it?
Yeah, we're taking we actually had a meeting last week with Office of Economic Development and the Parking Authority to really examine what's going on in terms of parking utilization at Webster Street. So, but we're going to be feeding that information to the consultants, and as with this work, we'll be taking a deeper look at that.
Yeah, I think if there's more public parking at Webster Street lot and easier parking as well, then it might help the retail.
Right.
Not sure. I know I've seen Westport use part of its railroad parking lot to store boats for the winter. They had one section filled with boats. And I know Rowayton is dedicating a part of that parking lot to pickleball. We're painting pickleball court there. It's not used, and DOT was fine with that. So I was just wondering what the city might be doing.
Yeah, so we'll be diving deeper into the connections there.
Okay. Any other comments? Thoughts?
So
No?
is the redevelopment agency funding all of this, or is the city paying for some of it, or what?
This is actually coming out of our CDBG CV allocation. So this is going to be part of the admin money that we have for coronavirus, because this is really focused around that.
Okay, great, perfect.
So I made the motion to approve the contract. I think it was seconded. Let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Lisa?
Yep, bye.
Okay. That's
John, I'm
unanimous.
sorry. Who's second? I just didn't see who seconded.
Oh, Kelly looks like she seconded.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I missed that. Thank you.
Okay. We did item 4, the design review. So I guess we need a motion to go into an executive session. Someone make that motion?
So moved.
So moved, Lisa?
Yep.
Second. Okay, we're in executive session. And that
Okay.
means you, puppy dog, can't be here. Get out.
I'm going to pause the recording. And let me stop